First story. My wife of 4 years cheated on me, then claimed I abused her, called the cops on me, and ruined my whole life. 2 years later, after I rebuilt myself, she came back with her affair baby, saying the man she cheated with had abandoned her, begging to take them in. So I took my revenge by acting like I liked her, made her clear my name, and dumped her. A bit of background. I'm 36M as of now. The characters have been a bit altered by their names. Rebecca, my ex-wife, now 34. James, my college buddy, and the guy Rebecca cheated on me with, Saladin, my other guy friend, and Lisa, Saladin's cousin. So Rebecca and I were what you call college sweethearts. We survived college and the hardships of life. We got married in our early 20s. I was 25, she was 23. Ever since we got married, things have been rocky. Not from the start, but situation-wise. I was in medical while she was an accounting major. There were things that were okay with me, but not with her. Despite being married, she acted like a free bird. It's a good thing, but there was marital neglect from her side. In 2016, she joined James' company as an accountant because it pays well. I was happy because, hey, he's a buddy of mine. Slowly, she started to complain about things that were in place. She didn't like where we lived, had problems with everything I did. She did not like the foods she used to. I'm a great cook, and she loved my foods, and our fights intensified by a margin where she would call me names. I'm good for nothing. She earned more than me. Coming to this part later on. The dramatic turn came here when Rebecca and James were hanging out with our set of mutual friends. I got the word about it, and it seemed off. I confronted both of them, and they both said it was a sudden plan, and I was in the field. Coincidentally, it happened on the same day I was out of town. They might have planned it beforehand, which I'm not sure of. 2017 was the year my marriage blew up. So I was sure there was something because my bedroom became a effing dead one. I was increasingly paranoid, and whenever I tried to address things, I was turned down. Now that I'm not a saint, I constantly yelled at her to tell me what was going on, because there was just something off. Your favorite person rarely talks or does stuff with you, and they claim it's nothing. Does this sound okay? It was also the year we were at our peak financially because our debts were paid off. My friends and I decided to open up a medical shop that provided medicine as a side venture. So one of the friends was Saladin. He proposed that we celebrate it at a pub. When we go there, I notice a girl who looks exactly like Rebecca. She was dancing with another man, and it was quite dark. I get a closer look, and lo and behold, it's Rebecca and James dancing hand in hand. I wasn't much bothered about it because, hey, they're friends. I was here with my colleagues, and she was there with her. But it was bothering me. I decided to send her a text asking where she was. She's usually on her way home at this time, and she told me she was already at home. Now that was a red flag. I told her to stop lying because she wasn't. I could clearly tell her that she was getting paranoid, and she told me she was on her way. She left the pub afterwards. That night, I asked her about James. The look she gave me was as if she saw a ghost, because she was not expecting that question. That look was what told me something was definitely up. If you ask your so about a friend, they should act normally, but the way she acted was abnormal. That night itself, I snooped on her phone. Curiosity was killing me. The password was changed, so I couldn't see the phone. The next day, I saw her password and snooped on it. There were hundreds of thousands of texts right there. Countless naked footage are calling him daddy and making degrading comments. My wife and I made a vow to each other that if there was ever anything we needed to explore, we would be transparent with each other. She broke that vow too. She confided in him how much thrill she felt that night at the pub. I went through everything. What hurt the most was that she herself told me if one of us ever got bored of the other or needed to spice things up, we would let each other know. She destroyed everything. I couldn't look at her the way I used to anymore. I cried the night and confronted her stupidly without any evidence the next morning. She yelled at me and stormed out after telling me I was abusive and insane. She told all our friends that I was abusive. That afternoon, they created a messenger group where everyone ganged up to troll me. When she came home that night, she told me she was in love with James and wanted a divorce. I told her to talk first, but it turned into her berating me. I yelled at her, and she called the cops. I was asked to spend the night elsewhere. I went to see my sisters, and when I returned the next morning, James' car was here. He spent the night here. There was nothing I needed to explain. He was doing it on purpose. Hell, she was doing it on purpose. I went to see a lawyer. As we did not have a prenup, she already filed a complaint about me being abusive. It didn't look good for me. Not one of them tried to apologize. No one tried to make amends. Our country's law doesn't count infidelity as a fault. So even with that, she's entitled to half of my everything. But her complaint can sew me up. A few days after that, when I was still living with my sister, I tried contacting Rebecca. But she wouldn't reply to me. Rebecca hit me up, telling me we should get divorced. That's it. 12 years of relationship, 4 years of marriage, and she ends it with a text. I was effing convinced that James was taking my place. She handed me the divorce papers. Everyone in our friend circle was convinced that I was a effing abuser, and that James was her savior. She did the right thing by cheating on me. We were officially divorced at the start of 2018. She was already dating James during our divorce. He was her life. I lost my job, my house, and my reputation in her little affair. I had to change cities and move somewhere else to restart again. Saladin helped me massively with that fresh start. He got me a decent paying job that was nowhere near like my previous one, but it was better than the rest. We became close buddies while I was working to earn back what I had. Dating life was over for me. I just couldn't trust anyone. It was a complete NC between me and Rebecca. The last thing I heard was that she moved in with James. They were doing great. Revenge part. At the end of 2020, my life was actually blowing up. COVID helped our cause with broken backs, but filled our pockets. Our pharmacy venture turned out to be huge, so I was able to make a lot of money. I met a friend of mine from whom I got a tip that James and Reb were done. James cheated on her and left her. But Reb had a child with James. He has been absent since birth, so he did not sign the birth certificate. So Reb is raising that child as a single parent. She tried dating, but she was not over me or James. The audacity. Part of me was happy with it, but gosh, I really missed her. I sent her an email asking how she was doing. She wasn't expecting to hear from me. We exchanged emails and reconnected. Our first meeting was in 2021, after several years. She looked like SHT. She gained weight, lost her charm, and looked utterly exhausted all the time. Frankly, just her look made my blood boil and triggered me. But I also want to take my revenge on her. Life had already done that on my part, but I'm an arsey hole. I wasn't done with her. She told me about James and reopened the earlier wounds. I got my closure, which made me feel a bit better, I guess. She said she was sorry. She wasn't thinking straight about what she was doing. James poisoned her mind against me. I told her I would forgive her if she came clean to everyone and cleared my name. She did that, losing a lot of friends, but she deserved that. My name was clean. She wanted us to date again. Clear words. Make me raise that arsehole James' child. I told her I would agree to it, but we needed to date and marry first. Only then will I legally adopt her child. That little guy is adorable, and I have taken a liking to him. Here is the truth. I was already seeing someone. It's pretty safe to say I was cheating on that woman with Reb. She was a client of mine from a different country. We were in a LDR. Reb and I were living in different cities, so I never moved in with her. But I played it well by saying I needed to travel for business. So I was only getting Rebecca's hopes up to crush her like she crushed me. We were getting intimate, but condoms were used. Rebecca felt she had found love again. I pushed her to therapy to get her normal again. Everyone was commenting on how she was getting happier with me. She would praise and then say sorry. Do little things for me that she used to do when she was married to me. Trust me when I say that I had a lot of emotions attached to this woman. I considered it my revenge if it was a good thing to break her heart. She might be traumatized for a lifetime. But she did not think of my heart, and we were married. Why should I think of hers? Her birthday was coming up last year. In October, lockdown was eased up, and someone it's Lisa was in my city. For the birthday gift, I grabbed Rebecca for ring shopping. She picked out her favorite ring, and I got it wrapped. She was elated because of that. That night, she came up to me and said that she was sorry for hurting me. She looked genuinely remorseful, but I had no feelings for her except indifference. Lisa was Saladin's cousin. I already told her everything beforehand. She was against my revenge idea, but I managed to convince her somehow. She was uncomfortable with it, but understood that I needed to go through it. On Rebecca's birthday, I drove her to our favorite spot when we were married. It's Nature's Place. Lisa was already waiting there. I introduced Lisa to Rebecca that Lisa's my GF. Rebecca went white and asked me what she meant. What is she, then? I introduced her to Lisa as Rebecca, my ex-wife and FWB. There and then, I proposed to Lisa with that ring. Rebecca went man and started yelling, to which I replied, how can she expect us to work out when she nuked us? I'm never dating a dirtbag like her again. She asked me again and again if we meant nothing. I told her no. Sleeping with her was compensation for the pain. I got her to clear out the pain she put me through. Lisa was holding me back. She saw that Rebecca was hurting. I told Rebecca that she needed to leave. She told everyone that I cheated and that I was an arsehole. This time, I took it as pride. Everyone saw the dirt bag she was in. She cheated on me and made me pay a high price for falsified abuse. Now she wants me to raise her kid and date her. The last time we connected was in December of last year. She wrote me a letter saying how sorry she is because she can't imagine putting me through the pain that she already put me through. She hoped I would live a better life. Last I heard, she was completely uninterested in dating. Looks SHD. As for me, I and Lisa stopped dating. There were differences between us. I'd like to add an edit. People who are saying I'm worse than my ex. Can you please, at least for the love of God, point out how I am worse than her? She cheated. I loved her, and she effing cheated on me. She cost me my home, my job, my image, my reputation, and my friends. I was an abuser to everyone. I gave her a taste of her own medicine, yes, by hurting someone else. Now I'm worse than her. I don't want judgment. This is Nuclear Revenge, and I'm sharing my revenge stories. I may have emotionally scarred her, but that's what she did to me. Second story. My entitled wife cheated on me and demanded I get my vasectomy reversed to cover up her infidelity and pass on her affair baby as my own. I left her sorry arse and filed for divorce. 6 years ago, I met the most amazing woman I've never known. Let's call her Claire. She was adventurous, intelligent, and incredibly talented. She's a violinist. We've been together since we met and married 1 year ago. 5 years and 10 months of that time have been absolutely blissful. Starting a couple of months ago, she started to develop aches and pains when she practiced for a long period of time. After I poked and prodded her for a while, she went to the doctor and was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. She stopped giving lessons a couple of weeks ago. And then she had to give up her chair in the orchestra she played in. And then she stopped playing altogether. Since she stopped playing, she's become very depressed, and this isn't a self-diagnosis. She goes to a therapist weekly now, and she's on antidepressants. There were whole days when she was at her lowest and didn't leave the house. She's told me that she feels like she doesn't have purpose anymore, and I hate that. Then, after she started the antidepressants, she decided that her calling in life was to raise children. We've both been CF since we met. After our wedding, we got all the "when are the kids coming" bingos. And she hated them more than I did. Now she's totally changed her mind and has told me that it's really important to her that I have my vasectomy reversed. She's brought it up once or twice every day for the past week. I hate kids, but if I honestly thought it would help her, I would become a dad. I don't, though. I think she lost something really important to her and is looking to fill a void that can't be filled. I've tried talking to her about this, and she broke down crying about how I wouldn't give her children. I just don't think it would help. I think she's just as depressed, but we'd have a kid to take care of on top of it. I don't know how to help her. If having a kid is really what she needs, I don't want to keep her from that, but I don't think she's in the right place to make this kind of decision. A year ago, she hated kids, and now she thinks she needs them. I don't know what to do. Before anyone says, divorce her, brew, I'm absolutely not willing to consider that. This woman is the love of my life, and I'm not willing to leave her when she's already hurting. In the comments, OP. I don't think she's manipulating me. She's never said, give me children, or I'm leaving. She just let me know it was important to her, which is weird because it never has been before. Agent 99. Even if you decide to do it, how realistic is a reversal anyway? They get more and more difficult to reverse the longer you have them done. OP. Even if a reversal isn't viable, kids are unfortunately not off the table. My parents agreed to pay for the procedure. I wasn't in the best financial situation at the time, and had just had a pregnancy scare with Claire, but only on the condition that I freeze some samples in case we changed our minds. Claire knows about this, too. OP. I guess this wasn't completely clear from the post. She hasn't had to stop playing. She can't play on a professional level anymore because her hands just can't do the more difficult stuff. I'm not a musician, so I can't speak eloquently to what that is, and she can't spend hours at a time doing it, so she can't teach lessons. She doesn't play anymore because it makes her miss being able to play well. Her quitting altogether is more depression than arthritis. Edit. I also didn't know that doctors who treat musicians were a thing. I'll try to find one on our insurance, but our insurance stinks, so unfortunately, this may not be possible. Delete it. Do not willingly have a child with someone who is not stable enough to look after it and deal with pregnancy. I suffered from depression, and can tell you right now that if I were to have a child and deal with the pain and exhaustion, I would get postnatal depression. I think your wife is just hollowing her main hobby, and the thing she loves is gone. I would advise a pet, not a child, to be honest until she is feeling better. Children almost never make mental state situations better. Usually, they make them worse. OP. We have 2 dogs that she loves, so I don't necessarily know that a new pet would help. I totally agree that she's feeling hollow. I just don't know how to help her stop feeling hollow. She doesn't seem to want to explore new hobbies. Recently, most of what she does is watch TV. Update. TLDR. My wife was a professional violinist and became depressed after being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Until that happened, we were both happily CF. And then she decided she needed me to get my vasectomy reversed, so she could be a stay-at-home mom. Update. After basically everyone both here and on our relationship said, go to couples therapy, we started going to couples therapy every other day for a little over a week now. For the first few sessions, Claire was really actively trying to avoid the vasectomy issue. Man, did that SHT come up this morning? Over the past week, I really thought that things were getting better. I felt hope for the first time in weeks. We had talked through a lot of the things that had been depressing Claire and found ways to work through them together. Here's a thing I left out of the initial post because it was embarrassing to me. Claire has been drinking since her diagnosis. A lot. Not like I never see her sober a lot, but more than a person should drink a lot. She's been drinking every other day or so. This has been one of the things that has been coming up in our couples therapy sessions pretty regularly. Fast forward to this morning. It was an emotional session the whole way through. It didn't help that last weekend was a concert from her former orchestra. We started off on that, and Claire broke down about it pretty quickly. We talked about that for a while. Then some other things that I don't even really remember because I'm so effing angry right now. And then Claire brought up that she needed kids to be happy. Again. Effing again. Long story short, this turns into a giant fight between Claire and me, refereed by our therapist, which culminated in her tearfully telling me that she's pregnant. One day, while I was at work, trying to effing provide for her, she effed some dude and got herself knocked up. And she thought if she could convince me to reverse my vasectomy, maybe she could effing get away with it. I'm not a violent guy, but I very genuinely wanted to slap this SHT out of her right then. I still don't know what's worse, the fact that she cheated on me, or the fact that she tried to trick me into raising another man's child, especially since she's known since we met that I effing hate children, or the fact that she tried to use my love for her to manipulate me. So, not wanting to hit my wife, but at the same time desperately wanting to, I left. I didn't say anything. I stood up, grabbed my briefcase, and went to my car. I called my boss and told him I wouldn't be able to make it back in today due to a family emergency. Let's call my boss Dan. Dan is the goddamn best boss I've ever worked for, and he has become a good friend. He asked what it was and said they really needed me in at some point to get work done on a project that I'm heading. I broke down on the phone and told Dan everything, which has resulted in an extra week of paid time off, starting immediately, and a free dinner out tonight with Dan. I effing love that guy. Right now I'm checked into a hotel room, and I'm drinking my way slowly, but surely through the minibar. Yeah, I know drinking isn't a healthy way to deal with problems, but what the F ever, and waiting for Fallout 4 to download. I wasn't going to buy it because I didn't have time to play it, but I sure as hell do now. I saw the new James Bond movie a while ago, and it was okay. I'm going out shopping later to buy clothes for the week, because going home to get clothes means seeing her, and I absolutely cannot see her right now. She's been blowing up my phone all day, which is why my phone is going to stay off until Friday. Update. I'm going to be honest here. I'm not doing well. My lawyers have told me I have about a 100% chance of keeping the house. It's been in my family for generations, and my family name is wrought into the gate. Apparently, these facts matter. God bless Texas. I get too drunk too often now. I lost the love of my life. Things don't seem worth it. Anyway, yeah, I've started divorce proceedings. Luckily, there's no custody to worry about. If I had done this a few months from now, things would be very different. I love her, and I hate her for what she's turned me into. Luckily, my boss remembered Dan from the last post. Is the best. Has given me some extra PTO so I can deal with all this. If I had to work right now, I don't know what I would do. In related news, she's keeping the literal bastard. I don't know if any of this makes sense. I've been drinking. Also, I bought a tegu lizard online, which should be here soon. TLDR, F'er. I've got a house and soon a lizard and no kids. Update 2. For F's sake, stop PMing me about red pill. I'm sad, not pathetic. Comments. Deleted. I'm sorry you're going through this. It's so cliche to say. Look on the bright side, especially when you're grieving the loss of your marriage. But you've escaped from the life of raising another man's child. You still have your freedom and your house, and ultimately, that's the best option for you and your future. Things will regain their brightness. Things will seem worth it again. Just hang in there and come vent to us at our childfree whenever you need to. Also, enjoy your lizard. I've never owned one, but I've heard they're mesmerizing and really fun. OP. Yeah, I just wish the lizard was here, though. I used to have dogs, but she took them when she left. If it's a lady lizard, I'll call her Penelope. And if it's a dude lizard, I'll call him Reginald. Third story. My pick-me-arse best friend of 27 years has ruined my marriage. I feel betrayed by the two most important people in my life. I'm sure you're wondering why all of a sudden I exited every group chat you are a part of, why you can no longer find me on social media, why even with your birthday coming up, Christmas past, New Year's past, Valentine's Day past, you haven't heard a effing word from me. My husband is in love with you. You and him have ruined my life. I've loved you since we were toddlers. I barely remember life without you. We're 30 years old, and your insecure attitude puts your own confidence above our friendship. You're one of the most beautiful girls I know. We tell you that every effing time we see you. The girls and I tell you how gorgeous you are and how it's insane that you won't date or are too scared to date. Regardless of how I side-eye you wearing certain SHT around my husband when we're supposed to be having casual get-togethers, I still tell you that you look amazing. And even though it irks me at how you want to play drunk B, I'm the lightweight and it took 20 watered arse down shots for me to get buzzed. All of a sudden you're wasted after 5 shots. B, please and start to remove clothes in front of him. I still tucked you in and tried to take care of you. My husband admitted he gets your vibe, but he can't get you out of his head. That he thinks that for the last 2 years, he has been falling for you. You. The last time you were here for Friendsgiving, you and him locked eyes for a second when we were eating. And you took it upon yourself to start sucking some chips like if you were blowing a cork as you sat across from him. We all were like, okay now B, damn why you eating it like that? And you just acted like, why not? As the night progressed, everyone kept drinking, but me, because I wanted to stay as aware as possible. I watched how he stared at your dance, and how uncomfortable he got when you told your SHT blind date story. You took it upon yourself to start talking about your breasts in front of him, and you shook your arse in his direction as he walked by you to a song that wasn't even an arse-shaking song. Those next few days here were awful. I interrogated him, and asked him what was going on with y'all, because that SHT wasn't okay. You've done lots of pick-me-arse SHT here like wearing a maxi skirt. But somehow that SHT would raise itself damn near to where we could all see your underwear. And you not pulling it down but complaining you're cold. Like undressing halfway through my house while asking me for comfy clothes. And when I was like, girl, what are you doing? You played dumb. But you've never been so effing disrespectful as that night. He would swear on God and on his mom, his life, our kids, that he only wanted me, and that he only loved me, that you weren't SHT to him, and that you were nothing but the stupid one in my friend group that he couldn't care less about. Liar. I was irritated with you and didn't reply to anything you would send because I wanted you to ask me what was wrong. I wanted you to be oblivious to what you had done and be like, hello, where are you, friend? But no. So tell me why working through issues this effer, and I decide we need to lay everything out on the table. I ask about you because, even though we haven't talked in months, that SHT wasn't sitting right in my spirit. Call me a Bruja witch or something, but I effing knew what I knew. I asked him if there was something going on with y'all, and he said, I never touched her, and we don't talk or message. I only see her when she comes over, but she's in my heart. In your heart? Do you have feelings for her like a crush or more than that? More, I think I might have loved her, B, when I tell you I had the air sucked out of my body. Tantoisi? That much, though. I asked him if every time he would suggest you guys come over, was that for him to get his fix to see you? And this MF said, I would tell you to have them over when you were down, because I know you love having your friends around, and they make you laugh and smile. But I can honestly say I had you message them to come over once so I could see her. I missed her. Insert my immediate sobs. I got up and went outside on a walk, because I felt like I was going to have a panic attack and throw up. I didn't believe him when he said he loved you past tense. So when I got back, of course, he's on my arse, trying to smother TF out of me, even though I kept telling him to leave me TF alone. And he's trying to hold me, wanting to apologize, and I keep saying, okay, but you're in love with her present tense. He eventually started changing the wording and stopped saying and using love. He said, "Believe me, I hate that she's in there. I hate it. I hate her for getting in there. I hate how it happened. I'm sorry." I heaved and heaved and heaved, but nothing came up. I was that sick to my stomach. I have been with his arse since we were 16. You know all the bullshit we've had to overcome. You know what hell we went through with my in-laws at the beginning of my marriage. You and the girls were there to help put me back together. Look, I don't know if you have feelings for him too, or if you just use him to get your fix at feeling desired and wanted because you're too much of a pussycat to find an available man to get that from. I don't know if you're jealous that I'm not as pretty as you, and yet I have a long-time partner supposed to be 13 years old next month, married, children, and own my own house all before 30. And you're as beautiful as you are, haven't been in a serious relationship since high school, 30 years old with no kids, still living at home with your parents. I almost hope you have feelings for him, that it came out of nowhere, that it was accidental and never meant to happen, and that it wasn't the latter of you hating my life and what I have built so you could try to see if you could mess it up. Either way, I'm done with you. Maybe I might be willing to work on things with him, maybe, because sometimes couples are able to get over infidelity. Him falling in love with someone else is absolutely an infidelity to our vows. You, on the other hand, were my best friend for the last 27 years of my life. How could you? You had my love, you had my confidence, and you had my support. Only for me to look back and see that you were nothing but a snake in my garden. You will forever be one of the biggest, harshest, and most life-shattering heartbreaks I will ever have. Bye. I'm going to try my best to not wish this karma on you. But man, I effing hate you. Edit. Firstly, thank you to everyone who sent me a DM or commented on here, wishing the best for me. Some of y'all, especially in my DMs, have really made me laugh and have brought me out of this Category 5 hurricane volcanic monsoon ball of rage and sadness I feel. Even if only for a few seconds. Thank you. I dearly love to laugh. While I feel like I'm drowning all on my own, so many of you have been in similar situations, and it truly pains me that no one else has ever felt this darkness I feel right now. I wouldn't wish this on anyone except maybe these rat SHT people. And even then I feel bad for wishing bad on someone. The same healing y'all wish for me, I wish for y'all. Secondly, to all the people who are continuing to call me out for focusing on her, rather than talking about his role in this. Read the title. This is specifically meant for her. I don't have to write my truths and feelings out to him here on Reddit, because he's getting that SHT to his face. I don't have the luxury of cutting him out and ghosting him the way I did her because we share the same house. We share the same space, and we share the same kids. I'm forced to deal with his being in my presence, and he's forced to deal with my rage head on, so all of y'all that want to minimize what he did because he didn't touch her can feel sorry for him, because I sure don't. I have zero intentions of letting her back into my life or ever seeing her within my reasonable control again, regardless of how my marriage plays out. If I pick up and find another man in the future, I would never be able to have her around my home comfortably again. And after all of this, I think I deserve that peace. This rage, hurt vent was targeted at her because she deserves to see her roll dead on and carry that weight on her effing back. She doesn't get to put her load on him because she knew what she was doing. She has to carry what she did to me all on her own. The same way, he has to carry what he did not only to me, but also to our family, all on his own. One day, I will have to forgive this man, even if I leave him, because we have children to raise. My time with him will never be done because of them. Romantically, I don't know if I'll ever be able to deal with his arse again, but I will eventually have to get to a point when I can at least be cordial and platonic with him for the sake of my children. I will have to bring myself to forgive him so that I can continue to try to raise my children in a stable family environment. Even if it's a broken family, that's what they deserve out of me. They deserve to have a father who will continue to try and grow and better himself, even if it's not for me. They deserve to have a mother who has peace in her heart, even if she's had a lot of heartbreak. They deserve to have us around and not carry the burden of our history. Grab a hold of their peace and stress. They deserve good parents, even if the parents can't make it work. This one is a petty point. To you annoying people who keep SHTing your pants about me not putting in paragraphs or it being too hard to read for you. I don't care, lol. I hope that B struggles to follow along too. What the F do I look like trying to make her life easier by giving her paragraphs? One day I might not wish her harm, karma, or any bad juju, but my petty arse will probably always wish these effers every little minor inconvenience in life, like having to read a wall of text. Lastly, some of you have pointed out my comment history, where I talk about having other issues with my husband quite a few months ago. Yes, I was struggling with feeling insufficient and unheard in my marriage. Yes, I wasn't sure if I was still in love with him because I was going above and beyond to try and make things good for us. And I was getting desperate to try anything. What you're failing to see is that marriage problems and emotions come and go. They hit in waves. As someone pointed out in the comments, marriage has lows, and then even lower spots. And then you hit a high that makes every low worth it. I make the best effort I can to try and see if what I build is actually worth it. What I didn't know was that 8 months ago, when I was begging for him to put more effort in, he had already been in love with someone else for a year and a half. That's why we were where we were. I'm not a perfect Patty. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. I know what I'm good at, and I know where I can improve. I know I'm mature and immature, all in the same breath. I also know venting my anger out for her is better than me telling her face to face I know myself. I'd rather deal with the fallout of my darkness here with strangers on the internet than in jail. I know I was a good wife and a good friend, and I know I didn't deserve this behavior, hurt, or betrayal from either of them. You guys can judge all you want. I know what I am, and I know who I am. I know I'll be fine one day. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.